Peace was good. Welcome to another install in my CD collection. This is part 10. But before I start, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. You're definitely appreciative. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? We wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't be talking to you if it wasn't for my mom. I love my mom very much. And a little gem for the day. How you treat your mom is how you treat your wife. Remember that. True story. Alright? And I forgot to mention that uh, videos 8 and 9 were are of the shelf, because I think 7 is what I did from all of the I think 6 and 7 is what I did from the shelf, from the cabinet. So 8 and 9, and this video is with the shelves, and then the other ones I have like in other places and stuff like that. So it's gonna be kind of like a short video. All right. Without further ado, show you guys the first album of the collection. Play the tunes then. Alright. Try this real quick. Alright. These CDs are CDs that I bought throughout recent months. These are albums that I haven't reviewed yet. And stay tuned for those, you know what I mean? These are CDs that I bought, thrift shops, from thrift shops to like Amazon and stuff like that. Alright. First album, except for one of them that was supposed to be part of the box, but I just got lazy and didn't put it in the box or whatever. But anyways, Russell Simmons presents the show soundtrack, released in 1995. Very dope soundtrack, dope documentary as well. Very, very dope song. Has songs like Onyx's Live, which was actually featured on what album? All We Got Is Such, which was a single, also known as Live Niggas. Tupac, My Block, the original with Easy M.O.P, very dope song. Headbanger Boogie, How High, Method Man, How High. This was like their first time making a song together. And from then on, it's been on since. Everyday Thing with Bone Thugs and Harmony. I believe that was actually on his first album, East 99. Although Creeping on the Come was their first album, but you know what I mean. Domino, very dope MC / rapper, very underrated. Dove Shack, you guys should know Dove Shack, excuse me, who's affiliated with Warren G and stuff like that. I believe they only made one album, if I'm not mistaken. South Central Cartel Productions, Jail Felony, another dope MC from the West Coast, very underrated as well. Tribe Called Quest. Overall, very dope album. Dope documentary too as well. I highly recommend if you're a fan of mid-90s hip hop. And it's not just East Coast, it's West Coast and East Coast, you know what I mean? But I highly recommend checking this soundtrack out. Then we got Crucial Conflict, The Final Tic, released in 1996. Crucial Conflict, they're a group from Chicago, very dope. I highly recommend this. Like, if you're into like Bone Thugs, like that style, like the Twister, Do or Die, like that type of stuff, this is definitely this kind of music. If you like that kind of style, if you don't like that, then you might not like this album. But overall, very dope. The single I believe is known for is the song Hey. They have a video for that. It's a very dope song. Highly recommend it. The beats are dope. If you have a system in your car, you put this in your car, that shit will fucking knock. That's how dope this album is. That's one thing I like about music from the 90s, is like a lot of that shit was bass heavy and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Unlike nowadays, everything's about the 808s and all that shit. They just like overdo it with the bass, but back then they kind of like, it was kind of like natural with this shit, you know what I mean? But overall, very dope album. Expect a review on these albums that I'm gonna show you guys, but very dope if you like Midwest hip hop. Then we got Jay-Z's Blueprint album, released in 2001. Hip hop classic by many and rightfully so. Very dope album. To me, the last good album that he put out, in my opinion. I liked America's Nightmare, but I think it was overhyped in my opinion. Same to the Black album. Didn't really care for the album. Thought it was kind of whack in my opinion. Just on the production, I just think like there was a publicity stuff from his part. Oh, I'm gonna retire, all that bullshit. But enough of that. Very dope album. The Ruler's back. Great way to start the album. Izzo, which was big back in the day. Girls, Girls, Girls. Funny story about that song, Girls, Girls, Girls. That was actually a Ghostface track, but he never fucked with it, and so I think just Blaze made the beat, if I'm not mistaken, and he just gave it to Jay-Z, and he made the song Girls, Girls, Girls. Um, you don't know, that was big back in the day too. Hola Jovito, that was a big song too. Heart of the City, overall very dope. This is released around the Nas and Jay-Z beef and stuff like that. This was actually released on September 11th, 2001. So that was a big year, especially but very dope album, classic album by many. I highly recommend picking this album up. Then we got Crystal Waters Storyteller, released in 1984. This is actually her second album. For fans of CC Peniston, stuff like that. If you like that, like dance pop, like that type of stuff, like dance R&B, I guess you want to call it. I highly recommend this album. This album might not be for everybody's taste, but if you like that kind of music, then you'll definitely enjoy it. If you like techno, dance, like 90s dance music, I highly recommend checking this album out. The song 100 Pure Love, that was the biggest song off this album. I remember hearing that song all the time on the radio. I mean, that shit was hot, man. Like, bring back memories to my childhood back in the day. But very dope. I highly recommend it. If you like that kind of music. Crystal Waters Storyteller, released in 1994. Pick it up. Then we got her third album, Crystal Waters, self-titled album, released in 97. This album was okay. It's not bad. It's not the best. This is actually her last album that she ever put out. I don't think she put out any other albums based on what I looked upon. I researched and stuff like that. But this album was cool. Like I said, if you like that 90s dance music, then I would definitely recommend checking this album out. For fans of CC Peniston, like I said before, definitely check it out. Highly recommend it. They don't make good music like this anymore. I'm sad. Alright. Then we got SWV, The New Beginning, Sisters with Voices, their second album, released in 1996. My opinion, I feel like this is their best album, in my opinion. Very dope. The production is a lot more, I guess, more mature, if you want to say it like that. Because I like the first album too. It's About Time, but the first album, which I have nothing against, so I like it. But some people might not like the first album, maybe because it sounds too dated, and it sounds, it was released in 92. It definitely has like that, not New Jack Swing, but kind of like that late 80s, early 90s vibe to it. That might bother some people. Not me, but I just had to throw it out there. But this is definitely a dope album. And what's interesting about this album, track number Use Your Heart, number 6, was actually the Neptune's first placement on their first professional debut placement on Wax, you know what I mean? So, and that was actually a single, and that's actually my favorite song of this whole album. But very, very dope song. Like I said, you could play this song like when you're driving around by yourself in a car or some shit, or if you with a girl or something like that. I highly recommend this album. SWV, very dope group. Very underrated. In fact, they released the album last year. I forgot the name of it. They had a single out. It was actually pretty good. It sounded like something they did back in the 90s and stuff like that. It sounded like a song, I guess, like that would have been left in the cutting room floor. But they actually made that. It was I didn't hear the album, but I definitely want to check that album out. But anyways, getting back to this, very dope album, highly recommend it. They don't make good R&B like this anymore, which is pretty sad. Alright. And we got the next group, Jazz Be Latin, Street Gamins, released in 94. This is an EP. Overall, very dope EP. The only single this album was known for is the Set It Off by Mr. Long, radio mix. Mr. Long of Black Sheep fame, he made the beat. Very dope. Where they're from is, I don't know where they're from, to be honest with you. I'm assuming maybe like Harlem, like Bronx, or like Lower East Side. I'm just assuming. But very dope. If you like the beat nuts, like Jorge or Curious Jorge or the Beatnuts, that type of style, then you would definitely enjoy this album. Very dope. I highly recommend it. Then we got a Humanreck, Deadly and Dangerous. This was released in 1999. Humanreck, he's an MC from Newport News or Bad News, Virginia. Um, for fans of like Def Squad, like Redman and stuff like that, you will definitely enjoy this album. It definitely has that a little bit of Muddy Waters. There was a Dark Side mixed in with like I guess like late '90s vibe. You'll definitely enjoy this album if you're a fan of that style of hip hop. I highly recommend this album. What's the single? No Guns was actually a single. I believe that was like the only single that it came out with. And this is like the only album he ever came out with, unfortunately. Very good, very underrated, very slept on. It was kind of like give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, this is like the only album he ever came out with. Yeah, like I said, if you're into that kind of hip hop, like Def Squad, that type of shit, I highly recommend checking this album out. This is Humanreck, Deadly and Dangerous, released in 1999. Go pick it up if you find it. Then we got GZA Liquid Swords, released in 1995. This album I had years ago. I bought this back in 2001. It was actually part of the box when I first started my CD collection, but I just didn't put it back. I don't know why. I guess after the review, I didn't put it back in the box. But anyways, this is Liquid Swords, GZA's second album, not his first album, like a lot of people think it is. Cause like I said before in the review, I said that he had released Words from the Genius back in '91, but that album was actually out of print, and they re-released that album back in '06, but the album went out of print so quickly, like it was no tomorrow. You know what I mean? But getting back to this album, definitely his best album. I highly recommend it for fans of Wu-Tang or that dark, gritty basement shit. Definitely some of RZA's best beats are on this album. Very dope. And like I said, I already explained about this album. I'm not gonna get into a broken record. If you want to know more about this album, how I talk about it, break it down, go on my hip hop album reviews. I think it's number 51. I think this Liquid Swords one, if I'm not mistaken. But very dope album. Highly recommend it. Then we got House of Pain's Rise Again album, released in 1996. This is actually the last time they actually put out under House of Pain. The actual title is called, give me 1 second. Truth Crushed to Earth Shall Rise Again, also known as the Rise Again album. Very dope album, very underrated. Don't be fooled by the cover. I know it kind of looks like an 80s arena rock type of rock record, but it's not. It's actually a hip hop album. Very dope, very dark. They do all the beats. You know what I mean? Singles was known for is a song with Guru, Fed Up, and I believe Heart Full of Sorrow featuring Sadat X. I believe that was a single too, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but very dope album. I highly recommend. This is actually a clean version, but I picked it up because I've been looking for this album. Just wanted to add this to my collection. But very, very dope, very dark. If you're expecting like the House of Pain from like '92, like the jump around type of House of Pain, then you're gonna be sadly disappointed. You know what I mean? But if you like Cypress Hill's like later stuff, like Temple of Doom, like that type of stuff, then you'll definitely enjoy this album. Alright, House of Pain, Rise Again, released in '96. And what's interesting with this album, when they released this album, the release date of this album, they actually broke up. So it was just kind of sad because I actually liked them. And also House of Pain, they still make music, but they're known as La Coca Nostra. It's pretty much House of Pain just added with 2 members who are Ill Bill of Non-Phixion fame and Slain from Boston, and then you have La Coca Nostra. So it's pretty much House of Pain, and you add 2 members, and that's it. Alright, very dope album. Pick it up if you can find it. Then we got Bootcamp Clik's first album, For the People, or I should say Still for the People, released in 1997. This is actually the re-release version, released in '07. That's why it says still for the people. Overall, it's a good album. I like it. I like it a lot. But if you're expecting like beat miners, like the beat miner beats, you're gonna be slightly disappointed. I guess like they kind of wanted a different sound at the time, and when this album came out, it was actually panned. It wasn't really well received like that because people were expecting more like beat miner type beats and stuff like that. And that's understandable because I would have been the same way. But if you give this album a chance, it actually has some dope tracks. Night Riders, I believe, was a single. Heads Are Ready Part 2, dope video too, where they play like a adaptation of the whole Rocky movie. Pretty dope. Very dope album. I actually like this album a lot. Very dope. Very slept on in my opinion. Bootcamp Clik, Still for the People, released in '97 or 2007, I should say. But very dope album. Just adding a collection of Duck Down record, whatever, you know what I mean. Then we got The Hill That's Real, the compilation album released in '92. Very dope album. To sum it up, if you guys want to know how M.O.P sounded back in the early '90s, I'm not talking about To the Death album that came out in '94. I'm talking like '91, '92. This is album to check out. As you can see, Little Fame right here, and give me 1 second. Right here, you see Little Fame right here, and the gym suit right here. Yeah, man, very dope album, very different. Like I said, like you see, to me, I think this is M.O.P. Like this is because you guys gotta remember M.O.P used to be a gang back in the day, so this is all of them and shit like that. Billy Dance was not on the album because at the time he was serving a bid, and so that's why he doesn't appear on the album. Very dope. Singles I was known for, I believe, is Wreck the Art, which they have a video for. Little Fame, he has a couple of solo tracks. He's actually pretty dope. Little Fame, like is different because he's not yelling like when he was in M.O.P. So if you're expecting that type of shit from M.O.P, you're gonna be sadly mistaken. Cause he actually rhymes. Like not say he don't rhyme, but he doesn't yell. He actually raps regular, with a medium pace. You know what I mean? But very dope album. Highly recommended for early '90s hip hop. But if you guys want to know how M.O.P sounded back in the early '90s, like '91, '92, I highly recommend it. This is The Hill That's Real, released in 1992. Go pick it up. You can find it because it's out of print. Then we got House of Pain's first album, the self-titled album, or the Fight Malt Lyrics album, which a lot of people know it for. Released in '92. Overall, very dope album. I like it. To me, it's not the best album in my opinion. A lot of people like this album a lot. Known for songs, Jump Around, Shamrocks and Shenanigans, which I believe was a single. I believe there was other singles, but Jump Around was like the biggest song of this album. Very dope album. DJ Muggs, he does the single on this album. For fans, if you guys liked Cypress Hill's first album, the self-titled album, then you would like this album because they kind of sound similar if you think, in my opinion. Very dope album. If you're not into that kind of style, then I wouldn't recommend this album, but I would check it out. You know what I mean? If you guys like House of Pain, stuff like that, very dope. Then we got the next album, Ganksta, the South Park Psycho, released in 1993, I believe. No, 92, excuse me. Very dope album. This album is very rare. I got this at a thrift shop for like $4, man. I mean, when I saw this, like I picked it up with the quickness, you know what I mean? Because a lot of his albums are, if not all of his albums, are actually hard to come by. I'm trying to get his second album, Psychic Thoughts, which was released in '93, which is very rare. I mean, I've seen it as much as like $150 on Amazon and other places, and highly sought after. Very dope. Very iconic horrorcore hip hop. You know what I mean? If you're into that kind of hip hop, if you like the Ghetto Boys, kind of like if you like Ghetto Boys, Brother Lynch Hung, Isham, Nadas, like early, like from the early '90s, then I would definitely check this album out. Very dope album. Dope from Houston, Texas. You know what I mean? Definitely one of my favorite MCs from Houston, Texas. Very slept on. A lot of people don't really talk about that. You know, people always talk about Scarface or the Ghetto Boys or UGK and those people, which I have nothing against them. I like those groups, but you know, Ganksta M.O.P, he definitely put in work. You know what I mean? Same thing with K Reno. You know what I mean? But Ganksta M.O.P, South Park Psycho, released in 1992. Pick it up if you can find it. Then we got Insane Poetry, Grim Reality, released in 1992. Definitely another dope horrorcore hip hop. Like I said, if you're into that you know, Nodis, like that type of stuff, I highly recommend this album. The only thing with this album is, like, you know, the beats, they use a lot of, you know, known samples, like, cause you know they're West Coast artists, so they're West Coast hip hop group from LA. So you know they're gonna use a lot of, you know, like the typical samples that was used back in the early '90s by West Coast artists and stuff like that. So, but I highly recommend it if you could find it, man. It's an iconic, you know, horrorcore hip hop album. So if you could find it, pick it up. Insane Poetry, Grim Reality, released in '92. Then we got Tim Dog's Do or Die, released in 1993. This is his second album. This is actually my favorite album from him. This album was actually a lot more darker than his first album, Penicillin on Wax. Very dope album. Known for singles, I Get Wrecked, which was a single. Hardcore was a single as well. But I Get Wrecked was like the biggest song of the album. What I like about this album, Tim Dog does all the beats, so which I like. I like when MCs actually make their own beats, you know what I mean? But I highly recommend this album if you like early '90s boom bap. If you like you know, if you like Ultramagnetic MC's The Four Horsemen album. It's, to me, they kind of sound similar, but not quite, if you know what I mean. I highly recommend this album if you like Ultramagnetic MCs and MCs like that, you know, stuff like that. Tim Dog, released in 1993, but Do or Die, and rest in peace. Then we got his first album, Penicillin on Wax, released in 1991. Before I talk about this album, I want to give a shout out to my dude Bob Diggy88 from the UK. Big ups to you, my dude. Much respect, because this album was actually hard to find, and that was very nice of you to, you know, send me a copy. So shout out to you, my dude. Overall, very dope album. I like it a lot. A lot of people talk shit about, you know, Tim Dog because of his rhyming, how he's very simple, and you know, stuff like that. But I actually like him. He's actually entertaining, and the beats that he raps over is actually dope. They actually make up for it. You know what I mean? But known for singers like Fuck Compton. Very controversial song, like I said before. Overall, very dope. Like I said, if you like Ultramagnetic MCs, like their early shit, like from the '90s, I highly recommend this album. You know what I mean? If you was to tell me, like, you know, Seth G made all the beats, or this was beats made for Ultramagnetic MCs, I would have believed you. You know what I mean? Very dope album. Penicillin on Wax, released in '91. And the last album is Goretex, The Art of Dying, released in 2004. Very, very dope album. Highly recommend this album. To me, some of Necro's best beats are on this album. Goretex, you guys know he was part of the whole Non-Phixion crew, but you know they broke up because of Goretex. You know, Goretex had like you know, creative differences, and on top of that, like, you know, he didn't really get along with the group, especially with Ill Bill and stuff like that. They had kind of got like a falling out. But Goretex, he still makes music. He doesn't go by Goretex. He goes by Gore Elohim. He's a cool guy. I'm friends with him on Facebook. He's a cool dude. You know, put some crazy shit. Very dope MC. The beats are here are dope as fuck. Dope album cover. You can see some like real devilish shit. You know what I'm saying? But the beats are fucking dope. If you're not into horrorcore hip hop, then you definitely won't be you won't definitely appreciate this album. But this is Goretex, The Art of Dying, released in 2004, excuse me. And that's it. expect reviews for those albums later on. All right, peace.